Yo, 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 yo! What's up, all you burner stoners and potheads out there? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
I'm great.
Not as good as me.
No.
Do you know why?
You got high before the show.
I'm baked.
I'm not.
I didn't wait for you. I said, fuck it. I was setting up the studio. I was like, I'm going to roll myself. Actually, no, I put it in the steamroller, 8-decade steamroller, and I rolled a nice one up in there, packed it tight, and smoked the shit out while I was setting up. And, yeah, pretty high. It's pretty good.
You're high.
I'm high. Hey there, everybody out there in the world. It's going to be an interesting show, but hopefully you're listening to Big Fat Doinks while Mr. and Mrs. Weedman get baked. Mrs. Weedman, we had a good weekend, didn't we?
We did.
We did. And here's why, first and foremost. We got some fresh green, some fresh trees, some fresh herb, because our friend, Big Earl, stopped by and dropped us off. He was on his way back from somewhere, stopping through Illinois, heading on the way back to his home. And he stopped by for the first time ever at the Weed Man lair. And
The lair.
It is my lair. And he bought 2 new strains. And we're going to smoke one tonight. And this one we're smoking smells like a fucking fresh mandarin orange. And it's called Florida Soul.
It smells like Florida Soul.
I mean, it smells like we're in Florida, walking from the beach to an orange farm.
So, I got a little story on that. It is like jarred. It is like a jar of Florida sunshine. It smells just like Florida. When we were kids, my grandparents had, you know this, my grandparents had a winter home down in the Florida Keys. And so I have 4 sisters and my parents, and we'd all pack it up like the Griswolds in the station wagon for spring break, and we would head to the Keys. And I kid you not, you'd get to like the border, because I love to call them borders, not the state line. Get to the border of Florida, and you smell orange. So it wasn't until we lived in Florida much later, like when we were young adults, that we had a citrus tree in the backyard, and I realized that nice fragrance comes from the flowers. Mm-hmm. So the orange blossom flower is what this weed smells like.
Yes, very good
it's
call.
It's an amazing scent.
Yes. Big Earl.
It's
fine.
I didn't smoke it yet, but
yeah, we smoked it. We did smoke it.
Oh, we did smoke it.
We smoked it all day Sunday. All day and night, because Big Earl came by about noon. I was already baked because we smoked on Sunday in our pajamas.
And you had it in that nice, what was the paper that you did? It was no, that wasn't that joint?
That wasn't it. No, I just did it in a regular paper that I normally roll in.
One.
So, but we started smoking in the morning in our pajamas.
We did coffee,
pajamas,
baked goods,
and
weed.
pajamas.
Pajamas.
What do you say?
Pajamas.
No, it's pajamas.
Where's the ah? Pajamas. Pajamas. Sounds like you're really fancy, schmancy.
Fancy.
You wear pajamas.
Why don't you hit that
like
joint?
we even have pajamas. Anyway.
Why don't you hit that joint while I tell this?
When's the last time you had a pair of pajamas?
I don't know. I don't wear pajamas anymore. I just wear sweatpants and a t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
A Weedman 420 t-shirt to be exact. But on Sunday, that's a sparker.
I'm on fire.
Big Earl stopped by, and it was great. It was the first time he was ever at the lair. We hung out. He bought 2 new strains. This is one of them.
It's so good.
And the smell of it's amazing. But as soon as he left, I rolled one. I mean, I stuffed one, and we started smoking. And we smoked that one while we did the Christmas stuff in the house. Put the decorations up inside. The tree. How nice was it being totally baked?
Oh, man.
And doing Christmas stuff.
So the kids are out of the house. There's nobody here, like, helping us get festive. So it was like, do we even bother with... Oh, I hate to not be in the spirit. I guess it's more of like, what level of decoration are we doing? We're not hosting any get-togethers through the holidays. Kids aren't home. we go elsewhere for get-togethers. So really, I mean, it's just us, and occasional people that stop
And
by.
Yuki, don't forget
So
about
I don't
our
want to be
newbie,
like the big anti-grouch, Grinch, crab-ass
Scrooge.
But I sometimes get like annoyed with all the clutter. So I was so high, and I decorated that tree. Oh my God. Mr. Weedman was hanging out in the basement. I think you were
I was
gaming
doing
with the
stuff
guys.
Yeah, but I was
This
doing
is
stuff
later in
too.
the day.
Yeah.
And I put one ornament at a time on that tree.
That fucking tree's the best I've ever seen it.
Yeah, but I think it literally took me I think I worked on that for like 12 hours. I had lost all concept of time. We stopped to eat. So I knew at some point that it was
Twice.
dinner time. I don't know.
And snacks.
Mr. Weedman, I'm like, what time is it anyway? He's like, I think we should go to bed already. It was 2:30 in the morning. And I'm like still putting like one ornament here and one ornament there. It was so relaxing.
I've never seen that tree
So full.
Not just full, but so like everything, because you always had the kids, me, and
and you guys were like throwing shit on
right.
the tree.
We just put it on the way we want.
Having a seizure.
This is so, or what am I looking for? The word like so. It's not. I wouldn't call it perfect. It's like
full. It has a lot of decoration on it. More than normal.
It kind of reminds me of your mom's. How nice your mom's tree
I was trying to be
looks.
like my mom.
And your mom did come over, and she did say the tree looked very nice.
She said it looks very full.
Yeah.
I was like, good.
Yeah. But you did everything very organized, but not organized like origami. No, not origami. What is the word? Like when something looks like not dynamic, but like where it's just like so.
Organic?
No, not organic.
I don't know, Mr. Weedman.
I would just say dynamic then.
It's dynamic.
But it's just amazing. The tree looks great. And you added more lights to it this year too. Made me really happy.
I was high.
You were high. You killed
enjoying
it. Knocked it out of the park.
the decorating process.
Knocked it out of the park.
It was fun.
Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy going on right now.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna give you any spoilers, but they're fucking.
All I have
they're
to say
fucked
is
right now.
It's a weird world, that show. And June kind of needs to get out of her own way sometimes. She's kind of selfish.
Very.
Like, I know she's trying to just end Gilead. She wants to be the force that stops Gilead from continuing. But she puts herself in the most stupid situations time after time after time. And it's just selfish.
I also think it's about getting her daughter back.
I
too.
know. I understand that. Yeah. And I don't know
But
if
this
any
episode
of us wouldn't do the same.
Right.
Right.
This episode was fucked up. They got fucked on this one. And
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. So, but good stuff. You ready to start the show?
Yeah, now that we smoked a whole joint.
Oh gosh, we did, and I was already baked.
Yeah.
Gonna get real interesting. But you ready to start the show, Mrs.
I'm
Weedman?
ready. Let's
I'm
do it.
ready. What is the difference between THC and TAC on weed labels? This was interesting to me a long time ago before I knew what they meant. I don't think we've ever talked about this before. We've talked about labels before and what we think should be on them and stuff and how the lack of it is. But TAC is different from THC and maybe just as important on the cannabis labels. Over the past few years, the cannabis market in the United States has skyrocketed. Depending on what market you're in, you may now choose from hundreds of cannabis products because cannabis is now legal in many jurisdictions and because demand is growing. So each time you visit a dispensary, edibles, THC, CBD, concentrates, pills, and ointments are all around you. Knowing how to read product labels and comprehend THC levels will help you feel more at ease. Have you ever experienced information overload? Yes. And when reading cannabis labels such as THC versus TAC, after all, there are numerous abbreviations. I suck at abbreviations. Fucking suck at them. I can never remember them. I mean, I have to say it like a bazillion times. So yes, abbreviations suck if you're not good at remembering them. Percentages, ingesting techniques, learn about initially. It may seem difficult to choose the proper product. However, if you brush up on your basic cannabis knowledge, you'll understand everything on the label and your product implies for all you newbies out there. Actually, for a lot of people out there, because a lot of people have been buying the traditional market for so long, it came in a fucking bag. So, a baggie. And that wasn't labeled. So, there's so much new stuff to learn. So let's go into it a little bit. The TAC number may be the most significant element on the cannabis label. Even if THC and CBD are the two cannabinoids, they may be the best known. What does TAC stand for specifically and why is it important? Does TAC make you higher too? What is TAC? Total active cannabinoids, or TAC, TAC. is the term used to describe the number of active cannabinoids found in cannabis when it was analyzed in a laboratory. Cannabis contains a range of active compounds in contrast to medicines, which frequently only have one active ingredient. Over 400 chemicals, including more than 100 cannabinoids, are thought to be present in cannabis, hemp, and cannabis both. They can generally be divided into the following categories: cannabinoids, terpenoids, flavonoids, alkaloids, and glycoproteins. TAC, an indicator of the quantity of all cannabinoids that make up cannabis product, is used to gauge its potency. Consider the following important cannabinoids: THC, tetrahydrocannabinol. THC, often known as tetrahydrocannabinol, is the primary ingredient in cannabis. It's in active condition. It is known significantly as delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol. Remember when we first started this show, we couldn't fucking get these words at all?
Yeah, right.
Now we're just fucking beaming them. Boom, 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 boom. You know, getting better, I should say.
Yeah,
I'm
better.
not perfect, but better. Or, because, man, some of the words are hard sometimes, you know? Or delta-9 THC. Additionally, these results in ecstasy are high related to cannabis use. It is generally accepted that a high created by the levels of THC will be stronger than the one produced by low levels of an active component. CBD, cannabidiol. In addition to THC, CBD is probably a cannabinoid that is the greatest popularity and demand. CBD may provide a number of health advantages, including the reduction of stress and inflammation. All CBD in your product is included in TAC. Most significantly, unlike THC, CBD does not cause intoxication. There's cannabinol, CBN, commonly referred to as sleep. Cannabinoid is the CBN. CBN is non-intoxicating substance, which a wide spectrum of medicinal effects. Early studies suggest that cannabinol may improve sleep and lessen pain. CBG, the mother of all cannabinoids, cannabidiol. Similar to how CBD might lessen THC's euphoric effects, CBG has no intoxicating properties. Cannabis users can do this to take advantage of THC advantage without experiencing strong highs. The endocannabinoid system may mediate this effect, may also be brought on by CBG's effects on alpha-2 adrenergic receptors, which reduce the activity of sympathetic nervous system. CBC, although the substance has been known for 50 years, its benefits are still unknown. The fact that CBC comes from the cannabidiolic acid, CBGA, I butchered that one, like THC, and Mrs Weedman just looked at me like, what'd you just say? Don't worry, you're going next. So, however, how the less popular cannabinoids impact human biology is not well understood. Inexperienced professionals frequently mispronounce TAC as total Arabic count. The difference between it and total active cannabinoids is that it alludes to the distinct elements of the plant's makeup. You can determine the number of microorganisms and cannabis simply by calculating the total Arabic count. The difference between THC and TAC, as it suggests by the name, TAC describes the chemical makeup of any cannabis or hemp plant by supplying a list of cannabinoids that are active in the plant. The product's total cannabinoid content is therefore represented by the TAC. TAC considers a full range of active cannabinoids present in the product, which is quite different from THC, which is merely one cannabinoid. The relationship between the two components, there is substantial interaction. For instance, CBD may lessen anxiety brought on by THC, so changing the psychoactive effect as a whole. How THC influences the entourage effect, it does its synergistic interplay of terpenes, cannabinoids, flavonoids, and cannabis is theoretically referred to as the entourage effects. Remember, we've talked about this before. It's all of them together, working together synergistically into your body, because your body, this plant was made for us. Phytocannabinoids and terpenes, among other elements of the cannabis plant, are said to boost the effects of one another. Regarding the entourage effect, the TAC is crucial. Nevertheless, fatty acids, flavonoids, and terpenes are additional significant chemicals that exist in addition to cannabinoids. Furthermore, the entourage effect depends on all of the other compounds, even if the bulk of them are insufficiently understood. Terpenes, which are found in cannabis, give each strain its own distinct flavor. Terpenes are produced by all plants, fruits, and flowers, not just cannabis crops. They are natural components of all plant life. The terpene, limonene, linalool, pinene, and elliptical are some of the more popular ones. Terpenes may also have psychotropic effects, which explains why the terpenes have sedative properties. But plant pigments come from flavonoids, which are notable for being powerful antioxidants. Along with this, it is still necessary to investigate the process by which they add to the entourage effect. Bottom line, THC and TAC are being contrasted in order to see which is more advantageous or greater in terms of potency or purity. Instead, it indicates that you should definitely consider the percentage of TAC in addition to the THC when choosing a cannabis product, whether it is intended for medical usage or recreational usage. So as to make knowledgeable choice, a more thorough picture of the full cannabis product is provided by TAC percentage. But if strengths is your first priority, you might want to opt out for a product with a higher THC content. Of course, it's crucial to keep in mind that every individual responds to cannabis differently. So start with a modest dose and generally raise it as necessary. Start low and go slow. That was a really good article.
Yeah.
A refresher too.
Interesting.
Yeah, and a refresher too on a lot of stuff. But I enjoy that article because it went into some stuff that people might know, what TAC and THC and what that stands for. It's very confusing, those labels. And sometimes you can't even fucking read them, which makes me so aggravated.
They're so small.
So aggravating.
They pack so much information on the labels.
It's terrible. That's why there should be a QR code on there. It takes you right to their website and takes you right.
It'd be so simple.
So simple. So fucking simple. ADHD. We know some people with some ADHD, right? What is the research that weed and ADHD together?
Yeah.
Mrs. Weedman.
Yep. There are a growing number of individuals who sometimes use cannabis as a self-treatment option for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. They state cannabis usage is therapeutic and particularly helpful in limiting distractions, helping with focus, anxiety, and with ADHD medication side effects. However, while it can be helpful for some individuals, much of the research online advises against its use as a primary treatment option because the research into its utility as short-term relief has been mixed. Nevertheless, here's what we know so far. What is ADHD? Well, it is a common neurobehavioral condition that causes changing levels in hyperactivity and impulsive behaviors. While many people experience changes in energy and attention, these tend to happen to a greater degree to those with this condition. It's also important to note that ADHD is commonly diagnosed in children. However, it also persists in adulthood. It is estimated to affect 11% of school-aged children and an estimated 4.4% of adults. ADHD symptoms, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, is the handbook used by clinicians and psychiatrists in the United States to diagnose psychiatric illnesses. As it stands, the DSM-5, so this book, I guess version 5, identifies 18 total symptoms of ADHD and 3 possible presentations for ADHD. The presentations are, one is predominantly inattentive. This type is characterized by problems regulating attention. Then there's predominantly hyperactive or impulsive. This type is characterized by impulsive and hyperactive behavior. And then there is a combined ADHD-C. This type is diagnosed when symptoms of both inattention and hyperactivity impulsivity are present. So how could cannabis actually help someone with ADHD symptoms? There are 2 components of cannabis that are important to know in order to understand how it might provide relief to those with ADHD. Tetrahydrocannabinol, THC. This is the psychoactive component that causes people to feel high. It works by attaching to the body's cannabinoid receptors, which are found throughout the brain and nervous system. And then you have cannabidiol, CBD, which is a non-psychoactive component in cannabis and hemp. It acts on different areas of the brain and has been found to counteract the effects of THC. It also doesn't produce a high. Indica strains of cannabis are thought to have a higher proportion of CBD, which research has found to be the most beneficial component for those with ADHD. So does cannabis effectively treat ADHD symptoms? Well, as mentioned, the perception that cannabis is therapeutic for ADHD is growing in popularity. A 2016 qualitative analysis of online discussions around cannabis use and ADHD confirmed this trend, finding that overall online discussions indicated that cannabis is considered therapeutic for ADHD. In addition, a 2020 study on adults with ADHD who took medical cannabis found that those who took a higher dose of medical cannabis components like CBD reduced their ADHD medication intake. However, this study was very small. Therefore, its results can't be seen as generalizable to the entire population. While this view may be gaining in popularity over the internet, there's little clinical support for these claims. A 2013 study found that people with ADHD who used cannabis performed worse on memory, verbal, cognitive, decision-making, and response tests than those who didn't use the drug. In addition, a 2019 medical review of 83 studies on the matter found that there was insufficient evidence on the effectiveness of cannabis in treating mental health conditions, including ADHD. So where does this leave us? Well, according to Dr. Rebecca Siegel, a licensed psychiatrist, cannabis medical advisor, and author of The Brain on Cannabis, What You Should Know About Recreational and Medical Marijuana, caution is recommended. She advises people to follow traditional ADHD treatment options until more clinical trials have been conducted on the issue. Until then, she says, I cannot draw any conclusions on the optimal ratio of CBD to THC, she finishes. So, can you take ADHD medication and use cannabis at the same time? According to Dr. Siegel, the answer to this is complicated. I have heard that some adults with ADHD take a combined approach. They use cannabis in addition to other options like medications and or therapy, but she can't stress enough the importance of seeking proper treatment before self-medicating, because it can lead to people running the risk of suffering from unwanted side effects from mixing cannabis with other medications. Using both could potentially limit the efficacy of your medication. So, can I use cannabis instead of my medication for ADHD? Well, switching your ADHD treatment away from medication to cannabis is strongly unadvised because cannabis has not been researched extensively enough to be considered an adequate treatment option. However, if you're considering it, it's very important to reach out to your healthcare provider with your thoughts and concerns, and finding a healthcare provider with knowledge on the benefits and risks of using cannabis instead of medication could be very beneficial to your overall treatment plan. It has been estimated that around 30% of people who use cannabis may have some degree of cannabis use disorder. In addition, those with ADHD have been found to use cannabis 2 to 3 times more than adults without ADHD. Therefore, the risk of using the drug can disproportionately affect those with ADHD. Cannabis use disorder, or CUD, is a diagnosis given to those with a problematic pattern of cannabis use linked to clinically significant impairment, and it's twice as likely to occur in those with ADHD. Cannabis use for the treatment of ADHD symptoms can evolve into CUD if you stray from your initial intention of using cannabis to treat your symptoms and begin to consume it more frequently for unrelated reasons, says Dr. Siegel. I know that happens quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you get into the habit of the cannabis and then you forget that you are using the cannabis therapeutically.
Right.
And you just get into
Becomes a habit.
It just becomes a habit.
Right.
Yeah. And so then you're not really using it to help you get through whatever the moment or the problem is. You're just getting high.
Right.
So Dr. Siegel goes on and states that it's likely due to frequent use evolving into a routine, which can lead to dependence. Potentially, you may no longer see improvement in your ADHD symptoms if you're consuming it all day long, she warns. And this can lead to people using more cannabis to compensate or even exacerbation of ADHD symptoms. And so, can cannabis make your ADHD worse? Well, cannabis works by activating the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine at higher levels than usual. People with ADHD tend to have low levels of dopamine, which is why THC can feel so rewarding. So while using cannabis can make you feel better in the short term, it could lead to cannabis dependency. Therefore, it's best to stay away from cannabis, particularly if you're susceptible to substance abuse. So, things to think about.
Yeah.
I think that I've even gotten to the point lately where I find myself smoking a lot more, right? It's not one or two hits and then wait a few hours. It's kind of like, oh, yeah, you got a joint. Let's just burn through it. Oh, and then you want another one? Okay. And it's in the evening. It's not like we're doing daytime use, but there's days where I microdose because I just feel the need for it.
It also helps you concentrate, though.
It does help
because
me.
at times
Yeah.
you were never able to concentrate. You'd be all over the place.
And so I find it to be helpful. I don't necessarily need it all the time. But I can see that because it does help you sometimes, but then on top of it, socially, it's such a nice thing to consume
Right.
that you do become dependent on it. And you could start to forget the therapeutic approach of it and you just like feeling high or you just feel like feeling stoned. And we'll talk about that later because there's a difference between high and stoned. Whoa. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's that.
There's a new study just busted. It's a myth that high potency THC is bad. I've been talking about this for a while, so this is just talking more about why it's not versus why people are saying it's bad. You're going to see a lot of this. You're going to see states like we saw in some states trying to fight the high potency THC for medical purposes. Some people need the high potency THC. So the accessibility to a fantastic array of cannabis these days is amazing. Consumers have hundreds of choices right on their fingertips, from non-psychoactive CBD and mind-altering THC to get you high, medicinal products and compounds of all forms, recreational, medical. There are also those that say weed in the market today is nothing like your grandparents' weed. That is also true, but many are criticizing the potential dangers of high THC cannabis. After all, it's common to see cannabis flower and oil products with THC contents with an average of 20% THC in dispensaries, while the braver, more seasoned consumers go for concentrates that can reach as much as 95% THC. There is not for the faint of heart, nor are those with possible mental health problems such as risk of psychosis or schizophrenia. Yes, stay away from the high THC percent. I mean, you shouldn't even go past 20%. Having said that, we shouldn't be demonizing the high-potency THC just because of that. It does have many health benefits. A recent paper backed up by the data Project 21, T21, in the United Kingdom assessed that quality of life for medicinal cannabis patients suffering from anxiety, chronic pain when they are given a high THC cannabis flower containing 20% THC and 1% CBD ratio. The 21, cultivated by Curon Life Sciences, has helped. High THC flower is the most commonly prescribed cannabis-based product for medicinal use in humans. These have been legal in the United Kingdom since November 2018 and authorized by Home Office for eligible patients. Smoking of these flowers is prohibited. Through inhalation is permitted. Inhalation. The data analyzed patient-reported outcomes, which were collected before and after 3 months of for follow-up. They looked at metrics including health-related quality of life, sleep, and mood of patients. Meanwhile, they also measured the severity of the illness using the brief pain inventory short form as well as the generalized anxiety disorder 7-item scale. The research found that inhaling the cannabis was effective in improving sleep and general mood while reducing pain, severity, and anxiety. The results indicated that controlled inhalation of pharmaceutical-grade THC-predominant cannabis associated with the significant improvement in patient-reported pain scores. Mood, anxiety, sleep disturbances, overall HRQOL is a treatment-resistant clinical population, the research was concluded. Some other benefits, true to be told, many people are in dire need of higher THC. The fact any cannabis products contains more THC means more of it will be entered the bloodstream, resulting in more of a powerful psychological and psychoactive effects. It also means the patient can derive more powerful therapeutic benefits from medical conditions. It has been proven to help countless people with severe and chronic pain, insomnia, vomiting, nausea, lack of appetite, and many more. Thousands of people suffering from post-traumatic syndrome also find relief from THC products. The insomnia, depression, severe anxiety, nightmares, and agitation can all rob one of a living normal life. But THC has also been shown to help. That's great. We need to stop criminalizing high-potent THC. We don't with alcohol. Take alcohol, for example. There are numerous alcohol brands containing high levels of potent spirits, which can easily cause alcohol poisoning. It doesn't even take several drinks for this to occur. Yet we all allow these substances to be sold openly, in many cases to even minors, when demonizing high-potency cannabis. That's a good one right there. I mean, there's 151 rum.
Yeah.
It's fucking fire, Sure, even cannabis concentrates can be oversoon. This is not ideal, but that's why instead of criminalizing it or claiming they cause mass hysteria and psychosis, what we really need to do is more education. It has been established by experts and scientists that just 5 milligrams of THC is enough to produce mild psychoactive effects. That works for us, 5 milligrams. I mean, I'm not like overly medicated, but I mean, I feel it, right?
Right.
Yeah. So 5 milligrams for most people is enough. And we smoke. Mm-hmm. We eat edibles. I mean, furthermore, people who are prone to mental health problems are advised to work under supervision and cannabis knowledgeable doctor. It makes no sense for medical or healthcare providers to discourage people, including recreational cannabis users, to stop buying high THC cannabis. No amount of THC can kill anyone, but there should be an emphasis on responsible consumption. Make sure you talk to a doctor. Get checked out. All right. So high THC is not bad for you. So we smoked fucking high THC. We smoked low THC. We smoked good mixtures and blends, and just enjoy it. It's good. Vaping. We've talked so much about it in the past. We don't really talk about it that much anymore, because I mean, they found out it's not really gonna, people like it, But how do you vape the right way? Is the question nowadays. So many people like vape and don't really know what the fuck they're doing. Or they've bought a disposable vape, or they bought a cartridge and like, oh, I saw somebody use this thing and I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. See?
Right.
So how do you vape the right way, Mrs. Weedman?
All right. I've got an article about that, Mr. Weedman. And there are a lot of questions, right? I mean, if you've never vaped before, if you buy your vape at the dispensary, you're not going to open it.
I didn't read
right?
a manual. Someone showed me how.
Yeah.
But never really taught me how.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's a difference. You show somebody, just be like, hey, press this button, hit it until you cough. Kind of thing. And then you need a heat setting. You need this, that.
Right.
So.
Yep. Smoking weed is the most common way to enjoy cannabis, but there is a better way to inhale: vaping. Vaping and heat not burn devices avoid some of the issues related to smoking, such as carcinogens created by combustion. Additionally, vapes are more efficient. A California NORML study revealed that vaporizers could deliver 46% of the THC in a cannabis sample. A joint of cannabis delivers only around 25% of the THC. The rest is lost to destruction by heat and side stream smoke. To vape weed, you must heat the cannabis flower to release the terpenes and cannabinoids as vapor, but you'll need a few things to get started. First, you want some quality herb. Extremely dry or overly moist flower won't give you a great vaping experience. Make sure your flower is properly cured and contains a normal moisture level. Normal. Vaporizer. You will need a vaporizer to vape weed. Vaporizers range from small handheld devices to medical grade devices that may sit on your tabletop. And you'll need a grinder. Some convection vaporizers let you use full buds, but vaping is best done with ground flower, particularly if you have a conduction vaporizer. Grinding your cannabis will help increase the surface area, allowing for even heating and a better vaping experience. And then your vaporizer will come with some cleaning supplies, or when you buy it, you should ask what type of cleaning supplies you'll need for it. Once you've gathered the required tools to load your vaporizer, follow these steps. Charge it in and plug it in and charge it. That's what it really says. Place your weed in the vaporizer's oven. With the finger or a tool, remove excess weed if it's on the top of making the surface relatively flat. But don't stuff your vaporizer with too much weed. You do want some airflow. Turn your device on. A useful rule of thumb is to set the device around 356 to 410. But once you get used to using the device, select your preferred temperature. Then, as the cannabis begins to heat up, inhale. Always take short and slow puffs from your vaporizer. We'll get into like vape pens. Don't worry. This is more about like a home, like tabletop, like
dry
or
herb.
a handheld device
Yeah.
that is for dry herb. Always take short and slow puffs from your vaporizer. Taking hard, long draws can introduce cold air into the heating section, reducing the temperature inside the device.
Never knew that.
Didn't know that,
Didn't
right?
know that at all.
After vaping, check the device to examine the weed's color. If what's left looks brown with a touch of green, then it is considered an already vaped bud. And you can use this already vaped bud for your edibles and recipes like canna butter and brownies.
Stronger. It's been decarb. It's even like
it's
twice as
essentially-
strong.
Yeah. So you
Oh,
just
man.
kind of like when you
Be
get
safe
your
with that one too. You whack some people. My brother does that and whacks people. Man, he make his
Yeah.
edibles are shoo.
right. So like when you grind your weed in your grinder, if you have a grinder that has a little catch, a mesh, you're gonna get your keef, and then that keef is just like the dust, all the best
Pixie
stuff.
dust.
It's the best. And you put that, you dribble that over a joint, into
Dribble.
a bowl, dribble it, little ching ching ching, right? Little sprinkle. And then you've got the AVB that you store up in a jar. Also, you have your little keef jar and you have your little AVB jar, and then you use that for
Okay.
baking.
What does that stand for?
Already vaped bud.
Thank you.
Yes.
I just said I don't do well with acronyms.
So now that you know how to vape weed, the first device most opt for is a vape pen, which is a vaporizer for cannabis concentrates. A vape pen is roughly the size of a standard ballpoint pen. That would be like you just buy a little cartridge at the store and it comes with a battery pack. It's attached. That would be like your Juul type devices. That's just tobacco, but the little handheld
Batteries
right?
with the
Charger.
carts. Yeah.
The device often comes with a battery attached to the cartridge, and the cartridge contains between 0.3 and 1 gram of cannabis concentrate or rosin. Although the parts of the vape pen depend on the model, most pens have similar core components, which include a vape battery. The battery makes vaping achievable. Some come with a button that lets the user change heat settings or a switch to turn the pen on and off. A vape cartridge. I have one that does not have a switch, but it does have a little. It doesn't have a power button. You don't have to hold it. You just draw whenever you want. But on the bottom, there's a low and high heat,
That's
and it's
cool.
a disposable.
That's nice.
Yeah, kind of nice. Vape cartridge. The cartridge is attached to the vape battery. You will also see your desired vaping substances and an atomizer in the vape cartridge. And then you have your mouthpiece. You inhale the vape through the mouthpiece, right? Pretty simple. Vaporizers should not get hot enough to burn your oil or flour. However, some vape pens are more like portable smoking devices than true vaporizers. It is best to store your vape pen upright to avoid unexpected oil leaks from the cartridge. And yes, they are very easy and convenient. So I think it's a nice introductory way, and they're saying that it's actually healthier to vape. And there's
saying that for a
there's
long
all
time.
Yeah, there's all sorts of different vapes.
And all the different articles that came out, about it being bad, it all depends on what you do and how you're burning it and what kind of coil you're using, and also, especially with the cartridges. Now a lot of people are coming out with ceramic coils, which is so much better. Everyone
Yep.
needs to get on that fucking bandwagon, because that's all I look for now when I go and buy a cartridge. The last 3 that I bought have that, and what a difference. What a difference. Night and day compared to the nickel coils versus the ceramic ones. Unbelievable. So, thanks, Mrs. Weedman.
You're welcome.
Biden makes history last Friday by signing landmark cannabis research bill into law. A lot of people were freaked out. Little pieces here and there. Good. It's a step. It's a monumental step, sure. It's going to get some research done, and hopefully we can get this off the schedule one sooner than later. So, here's something crazy. Legal cannabis turns 10 in both the state of Washington and Colorado.
Wow.
And both states say they still have a lot to learn, but positive results all around and great tax dollars and everything. So that's good stuff. Be careful in New York right now, everyone. You know, there's a lot of cannabis being sold right now in the traditional market, but even though cannabis is legal and you could smoke it basically anywhere and you can grow it and there's a lot you can do, there's no legal dispensaries, medical, yes, but no legal recreational dispensaries opened yet. All the little bodegas are selling cannabis all over the fucking place, which I think is great. I think they should be able to sell it. But there's a lot of illicitness going on where there's a lot of bad stuff in that cannabis, pesticides, toxins. And this is from a new study. They went around to a bunch of the bodegas and got about 40 products from 20 unlicensed shops and found E. coli, pesticides, salmonella, heavy metals, including nickel and lead.
Wow.
Yes. Because you don't know where it's coming from.
Well, and fertilizers they might be using where the water source is, the
Could
soil.
be too.
Are they growing on soil that's
You don't know where it's coming from.
right? An old gas station.
Because you could still gift it there and operations are up and running. You know, I would love to see these bodegas be able to buy from. There's 300,000 pounds just sitting there.
Yeah.
Let them buy that.
Yeah, why
and
can't
sell
they?
it because
Right.
because they don't have licenses.
Oh.
Just let them pay another $5,000 for the license for their store. Like they got to pay for a liquor license and then charge them every year $5,000. Let some of these bodegas get a license and start selling some of that weed that's just going to sit there and turn to dust and be dry as fuck. So, because you can't get your shit together. That's what I would do. But listen, I ain't the governor of New York, so and I don't want that job neither. It's a tough one. But you know what they say. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. Right? That's what they say.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. If you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. So the U.S. Department of Agriculture will collect hemp data in their census of agriculture. This is supposed to be really big because the new this is in their 2022 Census of Agriculture. U.S. Department of Agriculture will, for the first time, collect and publish data on farmers and producers who grew hemp for fabric, food products, and CBD. I think that's great.
Yeah.
You need this. It's going to be really good to see how much came out of this.
Yeah.
How since it became legal in 2018 through the Farm Bill, it's a powerful voice for the American agriculture. This information gathered through the census influences policy decisions that will have tremendous impact on AG producers and their communities for years to come, said Agricultural Secretary Tom Vislak. I strongly encourage all farmers, no matter how large or small their operation, to promptly complete and return the AG census. This is your opportunity to share your voice, uplift the value, and showcase the uniqueness of the American agriculture with growing CBD and hemp. Man, this is a big one for us because it'll be collected data until February 6th of 2023 and will be published as results in 2024. So it's going to take that long to even get it published. So do it. December, one of the best months for cannabis. July and December here in Illinois seem to be the two biggest months for cannabis sales. And everyone thinks November is because of Green Wednesday and 420 is another holiday. But we're talking about a full month, not just one day.
Well, they're very social months.
Yes.
In the United States, anyway.
100%.
With 4th of July.
Yep. And
that can be, and summer, just summer
Right.
generally.
Festivals and concerts and
Yeah,
all the good
there's so
times
much.
and barbecues and
And then
everyone's taking
December-
vacation and shit. So,
Yeah.
and December's a great month because you got parties, you got holiday work
Right.
parties, you got people just getting together for smoking joints now at houses during the holidays. Hey, come by, smoke a joint with me, man, for Christmas. Great, I'll be over. It's great. I think it's awesome. It shows like Christmas time just being a great time for cannabis. You'll instead of calling it the Yuletide, we'll call it the Herb Tide.
That's funny.
You should make something with all of our herb and make an Herb Tide instead of a Yuletide. You should do
log.
that. Yeah, something. Something.
I should.
Make a big 1 pound log of weed. We got enough of it in this fucking house now.
What is the Christmas cake? The Yule log?
The Yule log. You should make.
We should make an infused Yule log.
Oh, there you go. And call it the herb log. There you
Call
go.
it the You'll be on your ass log.
We got so much. We have so much butter we haven't
So
used.
funny.
So much coconut oil and butter we haven't used yet either. And infused sugar. Oh my gosh.
I got to think about that.
You do. It'd be a good one. Toucan Sam. Remember Toucan
yeah.
Sam? What was his saying? Come on, Fruit Loop.
I was going to say Fruit Loop.
But what was his saying on the commercial?
I don't know.
Follow your nose. It always knows.
Oh, I didn't remember that.
And he smells the rainbow of the Fruit Loops
flavors.
and flies through.
Yes.
Because there's terpenes in
my
fruit.
gosh.
Aroma. So what does the nose knows? And
Mr.
what
Weedman,
drives...
why do you remember shit like that? Scary.
Why does it drive
Why?
appeal
like-
to the
it's-
cannabis consumer?
It's just like a guy thing. Why do you guys remember shit? Like unnecessary information. Why do you have room for that? Why?
Because here...
It's like useless knowledge,
all right,
but
but-
it stays.
okay,
For
but I-
me, like
but-
if I don't use the knowledge, I
All
can,
right. I'll explain it to you. I'll explain it to you pretty good.
Well, not all of it.
No, you watch General Hospital, right?
No.
What do you watch soap operas? When you were a
Like
kid,
All My Children.
Right,
Would
okay,
be on,
but you
right?
did.
Yeah.
What type of commercials do you remember from when that was on? You know one.
Women's products.
Calgon, Take Me Away.
Yep, Calgon, Take Me Away. Ginate, After Bath Splash.
Why do you remember that?
Because there were jingles.
And they were on during a show that you would always
Right.
watch. And they would be on continuously. Like you might see that commercial 30,
20
40
times.
times,
Yeah.
50 times. That is why I watched cartoons. A lot of cartoons. I still do.
Mm-hmm.
But those commercials were always on during that time.
Like Kool-Aid.
Right. You'll never forget that
Oh,
commercial because
yeah.
it was on all the Saturday morning cartoons. That commercial was always on.
Tony the Tiger.
Tony, yeah, great. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Beca-
they're great.
right because he was always on. That's why I remember stupid shit like that.
That's good.
Pointless, but funny
But
when
funny.
when I need it to be.
Pretty funny. Well, I have an article about the nose and what it knows. Studies show aroma drives cannabis consumer appeal. Very interesting, right? When a patron walks into a dispensary looking to re-up on their supply of flower, what exactly drives their decision? While it's not uncommon for consumers to immediately go for the strain with the highest THC test results, a new study finds that the aroma is the driving force behind the consumer's experience. The study, The Nose Knows, Aroma, but not THC, published November 8th in the journal Psychoactives, is the result of years of work led by a research team including neuroscientist Dr. Wilson Poe, esteemed breeder and cultivator Jeremy Plum, Ethan Russo, MD, pioneer of the entourage effect, and founding member of True Terpenes Science Board, and also research scientist Shaban Demirel and Jeremy L. Sackett. The study's purpose is to objectively identify features of cannabis that contribute to its appealing subjective effects, applying scientific methods to understand what the consumer actually enjoys about the cannabis they purchase. Researchers gathered consumer response data from 276 judges, given 8 to 10 samples from a selection of 278 Oregon-grown organic craft cultivars. I would have liked to have been a judge. The study confirmed that the strongest contribution to subjective appeal let's repeat that. The study confirmed that the strongest contribution to subjective appeal was pleasant subjective aroma. THC potency was not identified by the study as an indicator of enjoyment. Interesting, because everybody buys for the highest THC potency, but that was not identified. Very interesting. In fact, the study concluded that impairment and enjoyment are unrelated phenomena. The paper describes a challenge to the sustainable growth of the cannabis industry and consumer health, calling it the potency effect of prohibition. This phenomenon essentially means that more intense law enforcement increases the potency of prohibited substances. Following decades of criminalization, this means the market value of cannabis is largely determined by THC potency.
Yep.
In many ways, consumers and patients have been effectively blinded from discovering their own relationship with a particular cannabis character they prefer at any given time, Plum said. While there are surely consumers that simply want the strain with the highest THC possible, there is much more beneath the surface. In the same way, most would agree Everclear isn't the best alcohol just because it has the highest ABV. Cannabis consumers are moving away from the idea that high THC denotes quality flower or a quality experience even. It's worth taking a look at the big picture of it. All of the cannabinoids, not just THC, the growers and cultivation methods, and the specific strains or crosses of strains and terpenes, and of course, the terpenes, right? Well, the terpenes are the naturally occurring chemical compounds found in plants like cannabis, which are responsible for the aromas, flavors, and colors. Specific terpenes not only influence the aroma and taste of the flower, but they also have specific effects. And the phrase, the nose knows, is nothing new. If you like the smell of the bud, odds are you're probably going to enjoy the way it makes you feel. In the study discussion, researchers address other recent findings, showing that the frequent use of potent THC products can enhance risks for negative outcomes, alongside the wholesale buying floor, where retailers refuse to stock shelves with products with low THC. The result, they say, narrows consumer purchase choices to the most potent products. And researchers say that perceived consumer demand for high THC products underlies this trend, making the study's contrary findings all the more critical. We find ourselves in a young market that still defines wholesale value primarily by the THC potency, or hyped brand names, or a variety of other less relevant, non-qualitative considerations, Plum said, pointing to the producers who shop for high potency and the incentives for labs to inflate results. Whether or not consumers actually enjoy higher THC products, Plum said this focus leads them to believe high THC automatically indicates quality. Cultivators, patients, and consumers all miss out on capturing some of the most aromatic and enjoyable cannabis as a result.
Just like the cannabis we're smoking tonight, the Florida Soul.
Right.
We opened that jar up and we were like,
Wow, the smell. Instead, we are left selecting for the least enjoyable features as an industry on the whole, Plum said. Researchers also observed a negative correlation between the amount of cannabis consumed and subjective appeal, meaning that folks who consumed more cannabis overall didn't enjoy the experience as much. And essentially, people who used less cannabis often enjoyed it more. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
Plum said that the study's findings should signal to the world that cannabis aroma is the most important element for folks looking to increase their cannabis experience, and that sensory science is the most meaningful evaluator of cannabis character. In the study's conclusion, authors say the results support the notion that aroma is the primary criterion consumers use to assess a product's quality. They add that it points to the need for regulations allowing consumers to smell flower before buying, the need to de-emphasize the market value of high THC products, and to diversify the regulated retail marketplace to include more flower options with below 20% THC content. It's a sensuous relationship, really, Plum said. It relies on the senses being engaged. If we have built an industry that isn't designed to optimize presentation and preservation of aroma at every step of the chain, from drying, packaging, shipping, wholesaling, and retailing, to the point where instead the consumer mostly gets something that smells like hay, alfalfa, anaerobic, or inert. We have failed the task. We built it wrong. Start over. Wow, those are big words.
Yeah, real big.
Remember when Illinois first was medical, the dispensary, I think we were going to THC at the time, and you used to smell, they had jars, didn't they, of the bud, and you could smell it?
Yeah,
And you could see it. Like
It was-
it would be like jewelry cases.
yeah, they
and then-
got. You weren't allowed to actually do that though.
Oh, so that was in the beginning.
Yeah, that was in the beginning. Plus, that was when it was medical too. So,
Right.
and then once you went recreational, all that kind of stuff went away.
Everything, you don't even see any product in the stores.
Couple
it's just
stores,
a menu.
couple stores you do here and there, but not. I mean, some stores will display a little bit,
Not in
but
Illinois.
not like it used
Yeah.
to be. Not when it was medical. It was great when it was medical. So that was a great article, though.
That's pretty
Kind
neat.
of
That's pretty neat.
ties with the one I talked about with THC potency too.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great. International news: what country grows the most cannabis? The cannabis plant grows in all the corners of the world. However, with the varying laws in many nations, it's hard to know where it grows the most. Some countries have legalized cannabis entirely. Others have only allowed it for it to be used medically, while some have banned it completely. Is it reasonably to presume the nations who have legalized cannabis grow it the most, or is it actually more likely to flourish in the vast continents of Asia or Africa, where the substance is usually dealt with more strictly? The place that grows the most cannabis may be somewhere you wouldn't expect. Let's find out. Cannabis growing countries. In ancient times, there were few countries and continents that were known for mass growth of cannabis. In fact, it is believed that the first plants was found at the bottom of the Himalayas in Asia. It is thought that 28 million years ago on the eastern Tibetan plateau, weed began evolving. It was then used as hemp by China and other Asian nations. There was also a great deal of it found in the Americas, Middle East, and Africa, which, as the empires took hold, caused it to make its way to the European shores. Before this period, it would have been the right to assume that the most cannabis in the world would be found in these areas. However, in recent times, the world's view of the substance has changed. Although the majority of the world banning in the 20th century, the times the global mindset has shifted. There are now 21 states in the United States that have legalized cannabis, with another 10 decriminalizing its use. Cannabis also allowed the use of weed, which these legal changes has now come a brand new market, where their nations are now openly growing the plant domestically. The North American weed market has been valued at $12.4 billion and is predicted to rise by 15% every year from 2022 to 2030. In addition, Europe is steadily on the cannabis rise. Luxembourg, Malta, two proud but small nations, were the first to take a legalization leap. However, in bigger news, the next country to join them seems to be global superpower Germany. And so, recreational cannabis. This is varying types of cannabis cultivation. Some nations grow it uncontrollably and illegally for recreational purposes, while others have huge legal medical markets that are reasonably new. The first sector we will look at is the recreational one. Who grows the most in the world? Morocco. The United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime claims that Morocco is the largest producer of psychoactive cannabis in the world. There is just over 70,000 hectares that are taken up by Morocco's cannabis ventures, and 70% of Europe's hash came from the nation in 2003. So, 2 is Mexico. I thought that would have been first.
Yeah, Morocco.
But Morocco has a lot of hash, huge, lots, tons.
It's not a massive country, though.
No, but they still grow a fucking hell of a lot of weed.
Oh.
Mexico is a close second, though. So whilst cannabis is not completely legal in this country, there seems to be a shift in thought. Is a shift that it could lead to Mexico becoming number one. Early in 2022, the Mexicanist reports litigious change begin to happen. So, and then Afghanistan, of course, because huge hashish out of there also. 1,500 to 3,500 tons of weed shipped overseas every year from Afghanistan. Ooh, man, that's a lot. So medicinal, though. Alternatively, you have the medical cannabis sector. Now, this one is up for debate, and there are varying reports, but let's take a look at the leading nations when it comes to this. USA is definitely one of the main nations leading in the charge when it comes to the cannabis legalization, with 21 out of 50 states have legalized weed. They have made a global stance. With this has come a booming medical and recreational market. It is believed that their market is worth around $10.8 billion last year and will rise to $13.2 billion this year. That is predicted to be at $40 million by 2030. So that's crazy. Because 37 out of the 50 states are medical too. So 331 million people, they would be growing some of the most medical cannabis in the world. Crazy. And then the UK, which I'm like, what? No way. No way. You probably did not expect this to see the United Kingdom anywhere near this list in any way whatsoever. However, in 2019, claimed the UK, with its modest population of 67 million, was the largest producer of medical cannabis, The Independent wrote. That's crazy. So it's hard to pin down for certain know which country grows the most weed, the most cannabis in the world. It shifts year by year, and you never really know what the legal market either. So I mean, but it was still cool to read and to give international news that I think it was great. So being a parent and being stoned, there's a lot of people in the entertainment industry talking about this now.
That's good.
Yeah, I think it's great. So Lake Bell.
Yes, Lake Bell. She was quoted saying, "I'm straight up a better parent when I'm stoned." Actress Lake Bell believes that she is at her parenting peak when she's under the influence. "I'm straight up a better parent when I'm in just 2 cans, at least," the actress said of the cannabis-infused beverage at the California-based company's holiday party on Monday. "I'm like on their level," she explained of her children, nothing that she can't get through the not noting that she can't get through the Christmas season without being stoned. "I literally become a kid," Belle continued. "I'm just like, this is a fucking crazy dinosaur. Like, let's get on the ground right now and be fucking crazy dinosaurs. Let's open some fucking presents." Yeah. Well, the Bless This Mess alum's comments come 4 years after she told Ember magazine that pot is almost better than a glass of wine. She said at that time, "Just the time it takes to get the wine, open the wine, find a glass, pour the wine, chill the wine. With a vape, you take it, you hit it, you're good." Bell joked that such efficiency is much better for any working parent. The Harley Quinn voice actress is the mother of daughter Nova, 8, and son Osgood, 5, whom she welcomed in 2014 and 17, respectively, with then-husband Scott Campbell. Although in October 2020, Bell announced her separation from the 45-year-old tattoo artist. "After 9 years together, 7 years married, 2 sparkling kids, Scott and I are ending our marriage but continuing our loving family," she wrote via Instagram at the time. "With respect and thoughtful guidance, we will continue to be parental comrades in arms and best friends for all of our days." She filed for divorce from Campbell later that same month and has since moved on with comedian Chris Rock. Bell called great respect and communication the key to co-parenting with the Save Tattoo owner in an August interview with Us Weekly. After calling their dynamic an evolution, she explained, "It's constant and it's for our children's sake." So, she likes her weed.
She likes her weeds.
She likes her weeds. Yeah, I know there's a lot of controversy. People have a lot to say about parenting and consuming, but again, you got to think about cannabis in a therapeutic way. It helps a lot of people.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it helps you concentrate. It can help you be able to tolerate.
Stay calm and be patient.
You were a stay-at-home mom. Mm-hmm. I worked a lot. Mm-hmm. There was a times where you told me where you were by yourself raising 2 kids. It was a time where you wish you
get stressed out.
Yeah, and you needed something to help, and you didn't drink. We didn't drink back then.
Yeah, not that we didn't.
But we didn't.
I was just with the kids all the time. I don't know. It wasn't really.
I mean, if we went to a family gathering or we had a barbecue, of course we had a beer, or you might have had a glass of wine. Here or there. But we didn't drink on a reg at all. Cannabis probably would have been good for you, been great. Especially after the kids went to bed, for one, to just help you relax and wind down.
Totally.
2, maybe having a high CBD, low THC during the day would have helped you concentrate, get through some of the hard points when
just
one
be
kid's
more patient.
Right.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. I think it would have been great just to microdose.
Yeah.
Like 2.5 milligrams throughout the day.
Just to even kill you throughout the day, because it could be highly stressful.
Yeah.
You know, And you did a great job as a parent raising our kids.
Oh,
and
thanks.
I mean, look at them.
Look at them.
They're just fucking
Look at
maniacs.
them. Them crazy kids. I love them.
Oh, shit. Got anything else to say, Mrs. Weedman?
Nothing. Oh, I am going to be at a winter festival this
Yes,
weekend.
you are.
I have a booth, pop-up shop on Friday, December 9th, and Sunday, December 11th for 8 decades. There will be, I think, like 25 or 30 vendors, bonfires, s'more kits, hot cocoa, a beer tent, and live DJs. So
Where?
it's going to be at the Salt Shed. So the Salt Shed is the latest, newest privately owned music venue in the city of Chicago. It's on the river on Elston Avenue, north side. And you can get tickets on Eventbrite. And I think they're like $6. And it's a dog-friendly, kid-friendly event.
Yeah.
So look for 8 decades. I'll be there.
Mr. Weedman will be there.
Freezing.
Mr. Weedman will be there, too.
I'll be freezing.
I'll be there in and out because I got to come home and take care of our doggo.
Yeah.
We thought about bringing her, but it might be a little
Yeah, I
bit too
think
much.
it's just too much.
It's a long day, and she's still only a puppy, so it's not like she's an adult dog. They could just chill. So she's got a lot of energy.
It's supposed
still.
to be about 38 degrees. So,
Yes.
bundle up,
But-
get some hot cocoa.
Come by the tent. And
by
you
the
might-
tent.
and come see our stuff, and
Yeah.
maybe Mr. and Mrs. Weedman will have a little puff
Maybe
with you.
we'll have some snacks. Come and see us.
Come and see us. We'll be the only cannabis company that has a tent with stuff for sale. Everything else is all different types of vendors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're the only cannabis company.
Yes,
That's pretty dope.
we got goodies.
We do got goodies.
Come and touch the hemp T-shirts, because then once you touch those hemp T-shirts, you're gonna
Yeah.
be like, I need this in my
Yeah.
life.
So Salt Shed, the old Morton Salt Factory. Come check us out this Friday and Sunday. We're looking forward to seeing everybody out there. Super excited. Our first big pop-up
Should be
at
fun.
a venue. Yeah. So also don't forget to check out 8decades.com. Mrs. Weedman done a fucking hell of a job with all of her posts lately. I'm so proud of you with your 12 Days of Christmas stuff. It's been a lot of fun.
It's a one-man show over here. It's just making it work. Making it work. Working it. I'm working it. I'm working it, people.
Good job.
Trying. Somebody like my shit, would you? Please. Just make me feel good for a minute.
Oh, man. Well, everybody out in the world, we love you. We appreciate everything. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate just throwing some shout-outs. Sharing is caring. Small businesses employ more people than major corporations. Don't forget that. Take care of small businesses during the holidays, and then they'll take care of you. And we love you all out there in the world. Take care of yourself. Be kind to one another. Peace be with you all. As Paulie always says, smoke smart. Puff, puffing away.
Puff, puff, pass.